Another thing that would make me happy is the Arizona Diamondbacks figuring out their bullpen, specifically their kind of closer role. And we know that the Diamondbacks very much like taking advantage of the Seattle Mariners, quite frankly.
I don't know if they would view it as taking advantage of. I guess there are certain trades that have maybe worked out that way. But yes, the Diamondbacks did get their previous closer from the Seattle Mariners in Paul Sewald. And who knows, Derek, maybe they will get their next closer from the Seattle Mariners as well, because we are here talking about Andrés Muñoz, the closer for the Seattle Mariners, as Shane hovers in the background angrily.
He's already so sad.
Let's take a look at Andrés Muñoz's numbers for 2024 to get things started. Muñoz was very good for the Mariners. 59 in the third innings, a 2.12 ERA, 0.96 WHIP, 33.2% strikeout rate, which is exceptional. 11.2% walk rate, a little on the high end, but you're generally okay with that for a reliever. And he was 22 for 27 in save opportunities.
Well, and I mean, again, those numbers are excellent. And we know that the Diamondbacks right now, I think, have enough arms, I feel like, and we talked about this a bit. They have enough arms in their bullpen right now that if they were to acquire someone of Muñoz's status, that you feel like that kind of
be a pretty darn good bullpen.
Locks everything in, right? Much like the acquisition from Seattle of Paul Sewald, right? When we talked about this, everything just settled in for the Diamondbacks beyond that. And Muñoz right now is on a pretty, I don't know, how would you say this deal is? He signed an extension with the Mariners after the 21 season. He has 4 years of club control remaining. So
it's very team friendly.
It's very team friendly. And it's exactly what the Diamondbacks need to be looking at. I mean, I know that we've talked about them being all in on 2025, but I mean, realistically, they need to start building towards the future beyond this now. And if they could lock in a future closer that's going to be here for this amount of time, I mean, it just makes you feel really good about having those other high leverage arms like Justin Martinez and AJ Puck available for the earlier innings, and having Muñoz there to close things down from now until 2028, essentially.
Yeah,
it's club options too, so that's very good as far as the ability if he doesn't perform to go in a different direction and not have to pick up a bad contract like we were talking about with Bellinger and Montgomery.
Part of me is sort of dumbfounded that Andrés Muñoz signed this deal, because it's about the most team-friendly extension that I've ever seen. But yes, he is set to make $2.5 million in 2025, and then he has club options for 2026 through 2028. So 3 straight years of club options. He's going to make $6 million in 2026 if that club option is picked up, $8 million in 2027, and $10 million in 2028. For an elite level back end reliever, you're very much willing to pay that. And I know some people might be thinking of Paul Sewald. Like, yes, Sewald was great in 2023, but ultimately the last time the Diamondbacks traded for got a closer from the Mariners, it didn't necessarily end the best. Muñoz is a very, very different pitcher than Sewald. Not to say that, if they did pull off this trade, it would be guaranteed to work for the entire duration of the deal or anything. Right. But Muñoz is 25 years old. He is still very much in the prime of his career. He still relies on deception in some ways, but he doesn't throw a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He throws a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
He doesn't just throw 2 pitches either. That's the other thing.
Yeah, he's a slider, 4-seam, sinker guy. 4-seam this past year averaged 98.4, a sinker averaged 97.5, and then the slider is in the upper 80s, one of the best sliders in all of baseball. Muñoz is in a very different stage of his career than Sewald when the Diamondbacks made that move.
Well, and again, I don't think it's necessarily one of those situations where you feel like just getting a closer from Seattle is going to be a bad thing. I think what the problem is that, at this point, the Mariners locked him into such a good deal, and for how good he is, that they're going to just if they're going to flip him, they're going to want a lot in return for him, right? Because they know the value of this contract, and they know the value of Andrés as a reliever, right? So he's very important to the future of their club as well. That's the one thing that's going to make it kind of difficult to pry him away from the Mariners. However, they have a lot of needs right now, and one of those needs would be offense.
Right. Yeah. I think that's primarily what the Mariners are looking for this offseason. And That's where it's a little hard for me, frankly, to see a fit here with the Diamondbacks. I do think it's possible the Mariners would trade him because let's not forget, this is Jerry Dipoto that we're talking about. And Jerry Dipoto, if anyone loves to make trades, it is Jerry Dipoto, the GM of the Seattle Mariners. And I also would give an example of a deal back in 2018 when Edwin Diaz, the Mariners closer in 2018, had 4 years of team control remaining, and that did not stop Jerry Dipoto from trading Diaz to the Mets in a massive trade that still sort of blows my mind to this day looking back at it. So I do think it's possible that Munoz could be available, all that to say. But yes, the price tag is going to be high. This is 4 years of club control on a very team-friendly deal of one of the best back-end relievers in all of baseball. And as far as what the Mariners are looking for in return, it's probably going to be offense, and I think it's probably going to be infield more so than outfield. The Mariners already have Randy Arozarena. They already have Julio Rodriguez, and Victor Robles was also very good for them this past season in the outfield as well. So I think their needs are more on the infield side, and I don't know if there's any infielders, Derek, that you're willing to part with, but that's probably where we have to go with this conversation.
I'm already texting Jerry Dipoto right now.
Okay.
All right. I got a text message keyed up. I'm like, yo, Jer Bear, what up, my dog? It's the mayor. Hey, my guy, did you see Pavin Smith's 3 home run game? Why don't you send us Munoz and we'll talk. I'll finish that up later. But yeah, we'll get him on the phone. I mean, he's an easy sell. He doesn't need much convincing to send us a elite player like that will help our team be better. And someone said it in the chat, but I think it was Ernesto. Ernesto might be right. Ernesto said the Diamondbacks and the Mariners just need to merge into one team at this point, right? They could just kind of they could play here through May and then go to Seattle for their June through August, September games. You know what I mean? And then I don't know, maybe put their contracts together and still spend half as much as the Dodgers do.
Well, speaking of these two teams basically merging, what's funny is that I think of all the players the Diamondbacks have that they could conceivably trade, although I don't expect it, that would make sense for the Mariners.
Ketel Marte?
I think Geno Suarez is probably at the top. I mean, obviously the Mariners would love to have Ketel, but there's no way that the Diamondbacks are trading Ketel for Andrés Muñoz. So the Mariners kind of need a third baseman, Derek. And I know that it was literally a year ago today, which we're going to talk about more later.
Right.
A year ago today, the Diamondbacks acquired Eugenio Suarez in a trade with the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners do need a third baseman, and they could use Geno Suarez back in 2025. I don't think that's going to happen realistically, though. So outside of him, you mentioned Pavin Smith somewhat jokingly. I could maybe see a world where the Mariners kind of talk themselves into what Pavin Smith did offensively in 2024.
Let's go.
Hey, but he would have to be part of the deal. I don't think the Mariners are taking Pavin Smith for Andrés Muñoz straight up. I think the Diamondbacks would have to give up more, and I'm not really sure how to make the pieces work.
Can I interest you in one used Jordan Montgomery?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna fly there either.
I don't know.
They already have 5 number 2 starters basically, so I don't know if the Diamondbacks
need a number 5 starter. I can interest you in them.
I mean, maybe one of the Diamondbacks' younger starters that does have value, like a Gilbert Diaz or Dre Jameson. We've seen Dipoto do a thing where he'll acquire something he doesn't really need from one team, and then he'll kind of create the need by trading away someone else that we didn't see coming. You can't really rule anything out with Dipoto, but the way the Mariners roster is set up right now, it doesn't really feel like there's a great fit here with the Diamondbacks, if I'm being honest.
I will say this, just in regards to one of those guys like Dre Jameson might make a lot of sense as a trade chip, even though I hate it, because you still don't know what Dre Jameson is going to be. So as far as the Diamondbacks are concerned, there is some risk to keeping him if there's some interest in Jameson in a trade, and maybe he isn't as good as he was prior to the surgery. But I would, knowing Dre, I refuse to believe that. Dre literally is going to be the $6 million man. He's going to come back better, stronger, faster. He's going to be a better pitcher because he was down due to injury. And I know that because of the type of person he is. So I think that in the end, trading Dre Jameson might be one of those things where you end up regretting that. And I think that's what the Diamondbacks are going to try very hard not to do, especially considering that right around the corner they have an exit from the franchise for perhaps both Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, and they're going to need to figure out what this team is, what the starting rotation is beyond 2025.
I mean, the Diamondbacks do need like a utility player, right? So bring back Josh Rojas, send Gino back to the Mariners, and then I don't know, maybe the Mariners are probably gonna trade Randy Arozarena because Dipoto's Dipoto.
I don't like
and then
this.
the Diamondbacks can also send like a Jake McCarthy or something to sort of swap out there.
I don't like that.
I'm trying to think the way that Jerry Dipoto thinks.
Yeah,
Derek.
no, I mean,
anything is on the table, right?
Yeah.
It's all possible.
Can I interest you in one used Jordan Montgomery? That's still something I keep coming back to. But